A.J. Hinch joins us from down in Lakeland, sunny Lakeland, while we have a snowstorm here. A.J., good morning.
Good morning. The weather the last couple of weeks have probably made you guys want baseball season to get here faster, I hope.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Can't wait to see the green grass when you guys take the field on the 22nd for that first game. It always gives me the hope that spring is right around the corner.
That's right. Some long winters, I know. I've been to Detroit a few times this winter and still try to make some regular appearances, in and around the park or at my house in Detroit. But, we're down here in 90-degree weather. I probably shouldn't complain about how hot the first workout was yesterday.
Yes. Dehydrated, are you?
Yeah, I had to get some sunscreen. I needed to make sure and find some shade and had to be careful because Scooble was throwing like 96 mile an hour on the first day, and he looks ready to go.
You sound like you're in good spirits. Obviously, last year playoffs, and now you guys add Flaherty back and Torres. Just what's your outlook as you guys get set for this season?
Yeah. No, I'm excited about this team, and a lot of it does have to do with the finish last year. I mean, I didn't like losing the last game that we played, but I'm just really enthusiastic about where we're headed and the foundation that was built. I mean, I'm balancing that with like, hey, don't look in the rearview mirror too much. We don't want to live in the past. We got to build it. It's a different team. There's a few different names. I did joke with Flaherty that I'm not sure whether to put him in the returnee category or the new faces category, but we're going to put him in both and had some fun with him, introducing him to Lorenzo the other day, and we'll see him throw live BP to him at some point. And I just think there's a lot of work going on that is worth being excited about, and then the reality check will hit when we start playing these games and getting this team ready for a new season. The challenge ahead is a grind of 162 games, and so it's always great when you get down to camp and see the boys, all together for the first time. Our whole camp is almost here. And so I think that's what brings some enthusiasm around our team.
I know you don't see a lot of the guys throughout the course of the offseason, but the way that the season ended and the amazing run that you guys put together, you mentioned the last game, the impact that had on you guys. How much did you see that motivate and fuel the guys in the offseason?
Yeah, first off, I think it galvanizes the team. I mean, I think when you look at across sports, I mean, you see what the Pistons are doing right now, what the Lions have done, what we've done, those shared experiences are awesome. I mean, we celebrated together a couple times, once in Detroit when we clinched, once in Houston when we swept that series, and those experiences, I mean, that matters, and it really brings the team together. And then now we return that entire team. We add to it with a few names, and we try to capture that same togetherness that comes with winning. So, I think from the offseason standpoint, the messaging has been the same. Like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I'm entering my fifth season. We've been pounding these guys about you got to find ways to get better, and here's some paths to do it. And so, Fett going to Oklahoma and seeing Jackson Jobe, or Robin Lund going down and seeing the group that's in Phoenix, or Michael Bedard traveled all over this offseason. We had the group in Detroit. I flew up and got to see a lot of the position players. We're just going to keep chipping away at the development that's needed for us to continue the rise. There's a lot of talent coming, but there's a lot of things we can do in the big leagues to be better at it so that we don't have to roll from 0.2% to 100% probability of making the playoffs. So it is a full-time job. It's a year-round job. It's game season and in non-game season. There is no off season for us. But I love the fact I was in New York, not too long ago, and Tarek Skubel's like running over to throw a bullpen I think it was at St. John's and getting ready for the season. So our guys are all in, and that matters to me.
I want to break out an old A.J. Hinch quote. If you want to be part of it, then you'll come. If you don't, then we'll beat you. Does that apply with Alex Bregman picking the Red Sox?
Well, we beat him in Houston. So, yeah. I mean, I think that, I think for us,
that's the answer.
You talk about awkward or hard is coming to a camp and multiple camps around the league where, that's a topic about what's going on in free agency and obviously being tied to specific name. And you never want to comment on guys that aren't in your camp, right? Or that aren't on board with you to come and be here. So I find it sort of hard to balance. Like, of course it's competitive. Of course we're gonna circle some games on the calendar, but we got a lot of work to do, and we have the group that's here, and it's awesome to see that. This has never been about one player. It's never been about, sort of the defining moment. It's, we've, adding Glaber, adding Jack, adding Brebbia yesterday. We're, obviously we've got to get Alex Cobb healthy, getting, Jackson Jobe in the pole position to potentially win a rotation spot. Like, those are still really exciting things. And given how late it is in the non-game season, off season, it bled into now having to handle that type of, public, sort of public situation, during spring training. And that's sort of weird for me as a manager, and I'm sure it's for our team.
The impact that Bregman would have brought, we've spent so much time talking about it, not landing him. Clearly you guys were in pursuit of him. At least it's been reported you were in pursuit of him. Do you guys still need that right-handed bat that was discussed before the offseason?
What we need is we need our guys to step up and continue this development. I think this has been built on, young players getting better. It's been built on young guys getting experience. And, of course, you're always trying to find ways to get better. And I'm not going to play into hypotheticals on sort of what it could have been like or would have been like and things like
That's
that.
for us.
But obviously that, and I understand that's part of it, but I do think that we need our guys to continue to say lockdown. It's funny, yesterday, it gets so competitive in these. Like, think about a day where in the morning I'm announcing that Alex Cobb is going to be late to the season. And so these 12 starting pitchers are sitting at their locker. Their phones light up because it's either they see it or their friends or family are sending like, oh, there's not one spot open in the rotation, there's two. And everybody they're not happy that Alex Cobb got hurt, but they are paying attention to like opportunity that's ahead. In the afternoon, you have the reverse emotion when you sign John Brebbia to a major league contract. And Breb's been in the big leagues a long time. He's got really good stuff. He had flashes of being really good. And now you have a bunch of relievers who are wondering how they fit in. So welcome to the day of being a manager where these range of emotions on this opportunity in the spring, they ebb and flow throughout your entire clubhouse. So the number one thing, I said this to our group yesterday, the number one thing you can control is control the strike zone. So we need our pitchers to throw strikes. We need our hitters to obviously be a step better than we've been in the past. And we're going to continue to build off that. So I have no issue with, sort of all of this stuff playing out in the public unless it starts to distract us from what we got to do, which is get better.
And you mentioned the pitching staff. Are you excited about having the possibility of a 5-man rotation? How much chaos will we possibly see like we saw at the end of last year?
So, it's funny. I joked with the beat yesterday that, man, it's the first time you guys have told me we have too much starting pitching. I got 12, 13 guys in the starting pitcher column in spring, and Fett's lining them up, and we're going to pair them up in spring and give them all a really good look. I mean, obviously the Skubal, Flaherty, Olsen are probably pretty, locked in where I don't know when they're going to pitch yet, but those are easy things to say, and it looks like we have some competition for the rest. And so, one of the things that I do want to keep saying, I think I said this on the show last year, like, it was a strategy on how to best use our guys, which is the chaos. I didn't plan. I kind of off the cuff said Tarek Skubal and pitching chaos. And so I'm going to try not to say like the three big boys and then the pitching chaos, because we have a ton of really good arms and good pitching. And yes, we're going to start 5 pitchers in a row again. I promise, but
we'll hold you to it.
Yeah. It's hard. You know what? I wouldn't knock whatever 30-11 or whatever it was in the process of utilizing our pitchers the best way we can. So at the end of the day, other sports are the same way. It's at the end of the day, you're trying to win that day's game, and we are going to deploy whatever strategy we think we can do. I'm not sure that tradition's always the best. We're going to try, obviously, to push our guys because it's easier, kind of all the way around, and maybe even easier to digest. But when we use 7 pitchers to beat the Astros in Game 2 of the wild card series, there weren't a lot of complaints about utilizing that strategy.
Torkelson had an interesting quote yesterday. He was asked about kind of fixing his swing, and clearly it's a big year for Tork, or trying to bounce back. He said he's not going to even watch video. What was your reaction to that?
I think he's going to watch video. I don't think that's what he meant to be drawn from that. I think what he is saying. I wasn't there when he said it. I haven't talked to him about it. He's already reported, so he's doing his work with our group. I think what he's saying is he's trying to simplify and get as much stuff out of his head as he can. And so one of the things that Tork has battled over his few years here has been just a little bit of overanalysis or being obsessed with every single detail in the iPad or the video. He's going to watch video. Every one of these players does. I mean, that's how these guys can learn. I think going public with that, he's committing to like keeping it simple, having a few cues and then going to work and not, because sometimes you watch too much video and you're gonna break down success and failure. It's not just the failure. Like you're starting to criticize your success too because I'm not in the perfect position, or look at this position. And you can still get a hit or hit the ball hard or swing at the right pitch. If you get too deep in the weeds with that, it can be counterproductive. And that's what he's saying. He's not saying like, hey, I'm never going to pick up the iPad, because you're going to see him probably even this spring on some footage with his head in an iPad. And that's not him going against his word, because he's just keeping it in perspective.
What are some of the things that you're directing Colt Keith, or the coach is directing Colt Keith to do and think about in his move from second to first?
A lot of it is just learn the position and positioning and the angles. At second base, you have a little bit more time. You can kind of create your own hop by how you go after balls to your left or balls to your right, or even coming in or back. It's just a deeper position. Obviously, the balls that the left-handers hit to first base, they're smoked pretty hard, or they have top spin, one of the two. Those are on polar opposite sides of how you play those plays. And so the bigger glove, the how to attack hops, the footwork around first base. I mean, we're gonna keep inching forward for him to learn the position that he started during the offseason. Him being here now is not the first time that he's done this drill work. Joey Cora has been in touch with him. He's asked a lot of questions. And if you want to hear a cool thing, is yesterday I walk out on field 3. We have our position players that are early reports, and who's giving him a ton of advice was Spencer Torkelson. Like they were manning the position together and some of the ins and outs of it. So I think with Colt, it's going to be a work in progress because it's new and games are going to be new, and he's going to things are going to speed up a little bit at the beginning of camp, and then I expect it to smooth out over time, and he can make the plays that he needs to make and give us as much optionality as we can.
Talking to Tiger Manager A.J. Hinch. One last question we had to ask at some point about Javy Baez. What's his role in 2025?
Well, his first goal is to get healthy, and I know I got to delay my answer to that based on his health. Javy has had a good offseason. He's worked hard. I think his weight's down a little bit. He's been very diligent in communicating with us, and as baseball activity has picked up, his enthusiasm has picked up as well, and then we've got to see him healthy. He's not going to report to camp at full strength. The running is going to be behind the other aspects. Like you guys see footage of us, you're going to see him on the field making throws. You're going to see him taking live BP and doing all the things that look very normal. You just won't see a ton of sprinting at the very beginning, and he's not going to play in the first few games until we get his feet on the ground and get his running program in place. That is then going to lead to where things fit moving forward and how we put the puzzle together, with whether it's playing time or roles or things like that. And I'm not ducking the question. I'm just being honest that I can't answer it until I see him healthy.
Mm-hmm. Tiger Manager A.J. Hinch. Hey, try not to get a sunburn down there.
Yeah, you guys stay warm. I'll be warm for you. Don't worry.
Thanks.
Looking forward to talking to you again all season. He's A.J. Hinch. Thanks. Appreciate it. It's 97.1.